Thank you, Barry. Coming up next on The Beat Goes On, it's our man from Bupa, Allan Lindsay. Allan has one mission in life: to bring peace of mind to all caregivers by providing the technology for 24-hour care and attention. Allan Lindsay and Bupa Medical Alarm. Hello, Allan.
Hey, Jeff.
Good to see you today, all the way from Christchurch. Ooh, what's it like down there now, Allan? Are you?
Oh, pretty
good. Stop shaking?
It has a bit, yeah. Bit of normal life's coming back in, yeah, for sure.
What a terrible time for the last 2 years everybody's had down there. So we say hello, Christchurch.
Hello, Christchurch. How are you?
So whereabouts do you live in Christchurch, Allan?
We've just moved into a new house in Bupa, just by the Shirley Golf Course there.
What happened to the old one?
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's still there, due to come down, but yeah.
That must have been sad to see that go.
Oh, it is. A lot of memories. It was family house for about 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah,
and
so keeps you real.
So that massive day, 22nd of February, wasn't it? It's now 2 years, isn't it? Today is the 3rd of March, of course. Just a little bit over 2 years, isn't it?
It is, yes. We had the September one, and then we got nailed on that one, and then February just finished us off.
Well, aren't we lucky, all the other people in New Zealand, here in Auckland, not having to have gone through that? So
very much so. Yeah.
But Allan, you're here today because you are with Bupa, and it's a wonderful organisation throughout New Zealand, and it's all about aged care, isn't it, Bupa?
Very much so.
Tell us a little bit about Bupa before we can continue.
Bupa, we look at a continuum of care from people in their own homes, sort of safe and secure and independent, right through to villages, rest home, hospital level care. We specialise in dementia, and that's one of the big issues, particularly in keeping people home and secure in their own homes for a long period of time. Our
show is all about the baby boomer, and of course their parents, and my friends have got parents who are in their 90s, late 80s, and it's a worrying time. I'm talking to them, and they're saying things like, what are we going to do next? How do we handle this situation? So you get it all the time, don't you?
Oh, very much so. It's I suppose the beauty is that we're living longer, but before we'd possibly pass on before things happen to us. Now, because we're living to a grand old age, lots of things are starting to shut down and fall off us. Yeah.
Now, you're really into the rest homes, aren't you? Of course, you've got lots of them across New Zealand, but one of the things you specialise in, Allan, is medical alarms. This is important, isn't it?
Very much so.
And I've got the image in my mind as a 65-year-old, you don't take that much notice because it's not your time yet, but you just sort of see the image where there's just something on the wrist or something around the neck. So, but that's not the case, is it? It's a lot more complicated than that. So what I thought we'd do was we'll just have a look at one of Bupa's ads, about especially the one with that, and we'll just get an idea of what we're going to have a quick chat about, shall we?
Oh, brilliant. That'd be great.
Mum felt safe at home because she had a Bupa medical alarm. But if she'd felt faint or needed help, she would have just wanted me, not an ambulance. Bupa will call anyone you want, and they'll stay on the line till help arrives. If it was more serious, Bupa would call an ambulance. Bupa's different. They give you choices. Bupa will organise the help you need.
Bupa medical alarms, villages and care homes. You're always at home with Bupa.
Well, there it is, the pendant around the wrist, and it seems pretty simple. You've got your parents, they have a nasty fall or something like that, and they can press that. But a lot of our parents in that, they don't want to make a fuss. They think they don't want the ambulance coming around, all the noise, and they get a bit embarrassed about it. So they want to be looked after, but they don't want to make so much of a fuss. What else can we do?
The generation we're dealing with, they're very stoic. They don't want to upset anybody. They don't want people knowing their business. So a lot of times when they push their button, we find that only 50% require an ambulance.
An ambulance, yes. And that other 50%, maybe just family and neighbours.
Very much so. And
that's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah,
you don't need the ambulance, just
personalised to what they want.
Yeah. So
right.
how do we arrange that to happen? So just the neighbours and the family are concerned?
What we do is we individualise it every time we go see a client, and whatever they want is what we try to achieve. Whether we involve the family as much as they like or as little as they like, because again, it's all about the individual that we're trying to deal with.
So how can the neighbours and the family look after their parents without having to press the pendant all the time? How can we keep track of them?
Good question. There's a good example is you've got family living out of town, and mum might be a bit ill, and they're worried about is she getting up in the morning. And what we can do there, we can put what we call a bed sensor in the bed,
okay.
And it works on either movement or lack of movement. So if, say, at 8 o'clock in the morning, mum hasn't got out of bed, whatever their personalised plan is. It could be to ring the son or ring the daughter and say, look, mum hasn't got out of bed, we could contact the neighbour. So we personalise it, so whatever they've decided on to help sort out mum.
Isn't that amazing? So if mum doesn't get out of bed by, it's set to say she gets out of bed, say, by 9 o'clock, and there's no movement, an alarm goes off. The neighbour or the family can be told about it, and they can check.
And it's good, and there's other examples where mum or dad might get up for a toilet stop 5 or 10 minutes in the night. We can set it so for that 10-minute period, once they get out of bed, if they haven't come back after 10 minutes, the same process comes into play.
That's exactly what you do. So you have people calling around. It's tailor-made for all the individuals.
Like we said, it involves the family as little or as much, because they're very private, they're very independent. Some of them don't like their kids being nosy in their lives. This way the kids are happy and mum and dad are happy.
That's really like a family having eyes in the back of their head, isn't it?
Very much so, because you get what we call, a big thing now we're worried about is carer fatigue. Mum and dad or whoever they're caring for starts to present with a bit of dementia, and of course they're not ready yet to go into a rest home, so the onus goes back on the poor carer or on the family to look after mum or dad. So by having these sensors, we can basically have, like during the day for example, we can have what we call a door exit sensor. So mum and dad are going out to the backyard, it'll go through to a pager, so you can carry on doing your bits and pieces, but you know mum's gone out the back door. So it just gives people a bit more, they can carry on with a sense of normalcy in their life, and it means that mum and dad are still looked after, but they're not restrained, they've still got freedom of movement, they can still live their life.
Look, I wish we'd had this years ago. My father had Alzheimer's, and mum was sort of bedridden, and my father would suddenly decide that he was going to work in the office, and he'd get his briefcase and my mother, being bedridden, couldn't do anything. It was just terrible for her, you see. So imagine if, wow,
yeah.
Wonderful.
We've got a similar gent that he was a very fix-it man with his hands, and no matter how his wife locked the bedroom door, he could get out. so we've put a pressure mat under a mat outside the door, so every time he does get through the door, she's awake now, so it's good.
So how do we get this fabulous system? How do we get it in our homes? What do we have to do? Who do we phone?
Couple of points of contact, our 0800 number.
Okay, let's do that right away. 0800
0800 60 80
80
and 99.
Hey, what a great number.
Yeah. And plus Bupa webpage, Bupa, bupa.co.nz.
That's simple too. Now their number is 0800 60 80 99. Easy number to remember. Now, is it an expensive system? That's some people may be thinking, well, this might be a bit expensive, but probably not.
Given that the average age we deal with is around the 80s, people tend to have some sort of some physical condition or ailment. We can retract funding depending on criteria from the government, from the Ministry of Social Development.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
And that covers all their needs. It means it's all in one, and one-stop shop basically.
But the main thing is, if you're a family and you're worried about mum or dad, give you a call at Bupa, and you'll have the problem sorted.
Yes, we've got a
peace of mind.
New Zealand-based call centre.
That's right. It's not in India?
Not at all. No,
hello, this is Delhi talking. It's not like that at all. So they're in New Zealand.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And when you do press that button, what happens?
When they push the button, it goes through to our New Zealand-based call centre, and they ask, how can we help? And basically, if we can get hold of them, we'll stay on the line until the help they require arrives, which could be the neighbour, could be the family. If it's the ambulance, we dispatch the ambulance. So every time the button's pushed, there's always an outcome, and we stay on the line until it's
sorted. Until you've got something. Well, that's peace of mind, isn't it? That's wonderful.
Very much so.
Allan, thank you for coming all the way up from Christchurch, and we'll see you in several weeks' time. Thanks for coming on The Beat Goes On.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Allan. The Beat Goes On. We'll be back with our special guest, Adrian Hartigan, right after the break.